Hey guys, what's up? This is White Boy for the win, and today I have another Pokemon Omega Ruby off a Sapphire team review for you guys today. And yes, this is another VGC team. Now I know I've just been doing like a lot of VGC content, but there's pretty much a reason for that. Now, as you guys already may know, and I've pretty much stated this in a lot of my videos, that I'm still trying to get into VGC. So what that means, like if I make a new team and it does pretty well, then I'm gonna share it with you guys, even if it's just one Pokemon that I changed on the team, or there's like maybe 2 to 3, maybe even 4 Pokemon I changed on the team, so on and so forth. I want to share it because there's a lot of new people getting into VGC and starting out in VGC 2015 just like me. And even though the teams I make are probably not going to be like top tier teams, it's just pretty much like a stepping stone for a lot of people, including myself, because I am learning a lot just by doing like VGC battles for you guys and just doing these team reviews for you guys. And I've just been watching a lot of Aaron Cybertron Zhang's videos, trying to get better, because like he's the only person I really do enjoy watching like VGC content wise. So I do watch him a lot. I also watch Shady Penguin. Granted, he is getting into VGC as well, so his teams are like not at like top tier basically. As on the other hand, where Cybertron Zhang, he's a champion pretty much in VGC area and Pokemon. So that's pretty much why I am doing like a lot of VGC content, just because like a lot of new people, including myself, can get into it and start off with like okay teams. So that's what I'm pretty much doing with this, because as you can tell from my team, I'm actually doing a like Sentai Sun team, because the only Pokemon that like affects it with Sun is Venusaur, because it has the chlorophyll ability. Other than that, my team has no specific like anything to do with like this the drought. So this is actually a pretty fun team. So let's just get right back into the team review. But like I was saying, this is just a little bit of a fun like Sun team I really wanted to do, because I wanted to actually make a few more teams, because right now I only have my Mega Kangaskhan team and my Mega Lopunny team, and that's it. Because I actually released my Mega Salamence team and my Mega Sceptile team, so I might just delete those off the page, just because I do not really like them as much, just because like ever since I made those videos and I've been just trying to make new teams, I've been getting better and better, and this team is just one of the reasons why I was considering about deleting those 2 videos, just because I've been getting like a lot better. Now, besides that, for Charizard, I actually really wanted to use a Charizard of some sort. Now I know that Charizard X is actually somewhat of a thing, but not a thing at the same time. I mean, you see it here and there and sometimes like that, but I actually wanted to use a Mega Charizard-Y, because I never used a Mega Charizard-Y. Yes, I know I never used one before. Like, I mean, I Mega Evolved the Charizard into Charizard-Y just to see what it looked like in game, because I had the game in person. I want to see what the Pokemon looked like with my own eyes, and that was pretty much it. So I wanted to give Mega Charizard-Y a chance, and so that's what I did. I wanted to put it into a VGC team, because Charizard-Y was a very, very like overused Pokemon in VGC 2014, because like I've been watching a lot of VGC stuff in 2014, but I really never like got into it at the time until like probably the end. So I wanted to use a Mega Charizard-Y just because like I never used one before, and I just like want to use a Charizard in general, because I haven't used one since like the Black and White days, and that was before Charizard got a Mega Evolution, so I used it with like a Life Orb and stuff like that. So that's the reason why we're using the Charizard-Y. Now, for its ability, it really doesn't matter about its ability, honestly, because you're going to Mega Evolve pretty much first turn as it is. But what I usually like to do, which I'll get to in a sec, I really want to tell you guys like the leads out I like to do with Mega Charizard-Y, but I gotta wait until the end to like get to Suicune, because a Suicune Charizard lead is pretty much one of the leads I like to lead out with as well. So I'll get to that once we get to Suicune. But for its EV spread, I actually already had like a general idea of like an EV spread for Charizard, and also the nature, because pretty much if you run a Charizard-Y, you're always going to be running like max speed, max special attack, and like 4 in special defense with a timid nature. But I actually want to go on Smogon, which I did, to see like, okay, does Charizard have like a diversity of like EV's investments into like its physical defense and HP? and stuff like that, but I actually found out that it doesn't. It just runs pretty much max speed and like maybe max special attack depending on what you want to go with. But I actually went with 244 in special attack and 12 in special defense. This was also on Smogon as well. I only got the EV spread off of Smogon. I actually like picked out the moves myself, which I'll get to in a sec. But that extra like 12 or what is it? 8 points into its special defense rather than running 4 can help you out in the long run. So that's the only reason why I'm actually running 12 instead of like maybe 4 in special defense rather than running max special attack. So wow. So there's nothing really else I can go off of other than that. I got this EV spread off of Smogon. Now for its moves, I am running Protect, Ancient Power, Solar Beam, and Heat Wave. Now Ancient Power is a very, very good move I like to run on my Mega Charizard-Y. I know I've seen a lot of people actually run an Ancient Power on their Charizard Y and sometimes Charizard X if there's just going to be one of those guys who's going to run a special Charizard X. But like I said, I actually did see a couple of people run Ancient Power on their Charizard Y, and I really, really liked Ancient Power on Charizard, or should I say Mega Charizard Y, just because Ancient Power can one-shot, literally one-shot Talonflame, and I didn't know this at the time, but granted, it is 4 times effective, so that actually does contradict what I said. But Ancient Power does come in handy because like I've come across a lot of Talonflames, and as you can see from my team, Talonflame can pretty much just destroy 1, 2, 3 Pokemon on my team, so Ancient Power does come in handy. So the next move we are running is Solar Beam, pretty much a standard move on a Mega Charizard-Y, I would say, because once you Mega Evolve, you have the Drought ability already up with the Sun, so you don't have to wait 1 turn to have your Solar Beam activate, so it's pretty much a 1-turn Solar Beam move, so that's why I like to run it. And the last move we're running is Heat Wave. Do I have to really go over it? It's Stab, it's Fire type move, and it also hits both of your opponents with a 10% chance to burn, and I actually did get a couple burns with Heat Wave while I was actually battling with this team, so that does pretty much come in handy. So with that, there is Charizard. Like I said, nothing really I can go over pretty much because this is kind of like a standard Charizard set you would see in a regular VGC team. So with that, let's just move on to Venusaur. Now, like I said, this team is kind of like a mini drought team just because the only Pokemon effective to the sun is only Venusaur, because Venusaur is my only chlorophyll Pokemon and pretty much my only Pokemon on my team that affects with the sun, because like Sylveon doesn't have any fire type moves or grass type moves. Same thing with Bisharp, Terrakion, and Suicune. So the only thing that pretty much the sun works with is Venusaur. So I actually did run a chlorophyll Venusaur back in the day when Black and White was a thing, but I actually used a chlorophyll Venusaur before on a singles team, because like in Black and White I really never like knew about doubles. Well, I knew about doubles, but I didn't want to pay any attention to it, so it was just like the back of my mind. But this was before like Mega Charizard-Y came along and it had another Pokemon with Drought, so you actually had to have Ninetales on your team. So I actually had Ninetales, Venusaur, and 4 other Pokemon, and I was using this in singles, so it was like I had to lead out with my Ninetales because obviously at the time the sun and pretty much all the weather was unlimited until some Pokemon changes the weather, or they came in with like an airlock ability Pokemon which cancels out weather pretty much. But other than that, you actually had to have like Ninetales or a Pokemon with Sunny Day in general and get the sun up. So that was the last time I actually used a Venusaur or chlorophyll Venusaur. So I had to like look up an EV spread for Venusaur as well. So this was the EV spread that I found for a Venusaur in Black and White. So this is kind of like a Black and White set, and it just works basically. So I am running 180 in HP, max special attack with modest nature, and 76 in speed. Now you also want to have some speed investment because you are running the chlorophyll ability. Now when I actually used a chlorophyll Venusaur, I was still trying to get back into, or I was trying to get into competitive battling, so I actually ran like max special attack with the modest nature and max speed to get like the for sure you're going to outspeed pretty much majority of your opponent's team because of the chlorophyll ability. So I really didn't pay attention to both because like I was just one of those trainers or one of those battlers who just wanted to have a full offensive team and didn't care about like defenses and like strategies or anything. Like you're like, okay, this person has this Pokemon out, Fire Blast or Solar Beam or Giga Drain or something like that. So I actually did have to look up an EV spread for Venusaur, and this was one of the EV spreads I actually saw for a chlorophyll Venusaur, and that's what I actually went with. Now for its item, I went with Life Orb just because obviously you get more power, and also plus the Sun Up, you're actually going to get even more, a little bit more power. So it's going to be like Sun boosted, also with the Life Orb boosted, so you're pretty much going to be like pretty much one-shotting a lot of stuff to your opponent. Now, for the moves, I am running Protect, Sleep Powder, Giga Drain, and Sludge Bomb. Sleep Powder, I was actually opting to switch out Sleep Powder with, I believe, Leech Seed, but I was like, you know what? No. I actually went with Sleep Powder just because I wanted to put my opponents to sleep as well, and I also kind of didn't know what kind of like moves they have on a Venusaur as well, so I kind of had to look it up, other than probably running like Protect, the Giga Drain, and Sludge Bomb. So the only last move I actually had to worry about was like the Sleep Powder slot, because obviously you're going to be running Giga Drain and or Solar Beam, but I actually prefer Giga Drain, and you're also going to be running Sludge Bomb because Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb is also stab on your team, or on your opponent's team, sorry about that. So those were two pretty much like guaranteed moves to have on your Venusaur, and Sleep Powder was just there because hey, if I can put my opponent to sleep, I'll take advantage of it and do it. So with that, there is Venusaur. Nothing really else I can go over. So let's move on to the next Pokemon, which is Sylveon. Like I said, pretty much in like the past two videos, this is the exact same EV spread, or pretty much the same exact Sylveon. I just switched it over to a new team. Now, pretty much you're going to be seeing Sylveon and like Bisharp and Suicune in a lot of my teams when I make VGC teams, because like, let's be honest, why fix what isn't broken, basically? So, Suicune isn't like a Pokemon you would like not want to have on your team, and I really like love Sylveon. It just puts in nothing but the work, and I just decided to actually I actually decided to put this Pokemon on my team because it just puts in a lot of work, as it does, because most of the time you're going to Hyper Voice your opponent to death. But other than that, it's the exact same EV spread, moves, ability, item, nature, so on and so forth. But maybe instead of Shadow Ball, you can run like maybe HP Ground, because I was actually thinking about opting out a Shadow Ball for Hidden Power Ground, but it actually pretty much depending on your team and what you actually come across more. But for now, I just decided to leave it as Shadow Ball because I don't have a Ghost type move, and the only moves I could pretty much touch on like Ghost types for super effective is my Charizard-Y with Heat Wave, and also my Bisharp because it has Dark type moves. But other than that, Shadow Ball does come in handy when you actually need it in like a last resort. So with that, I'm actually just going to move on to the next Pokemon, which is Bisharp. Same thing like I said for Sylveon. This is the exact same set you saw in my last VGC video with Mega Lopunny. It's the exact same move, ability, item, and EV spread, and also nature. So there's nothing really much I can go over other than just saying, hey, I'm using Bisharp on my team. So what I'm actually trying to do right now is just trying to get to the last Pokemon so I could tell you like the combos and like the lead outs I like to do, because that's what I'm actually trying to get to, if that makes any sense. So nothing else I can go over for Bisharp other than it's the exact same thing. The next Pokemon we are running is Terrakion. Now, I never used a Terrakion before. Well, I did, but I didn't, but I never used one in VGC before. So I actually wanted to give it a chance, and like with this team, I rarely use Terrakion. Well, for actually how many times I use this team, I maybe use Terrakion maybe like once or twice, maybe even 3 times. But other than that, I really never use Terrakion. It's just like a backup Pokemon, basically. So this is actually Aaron Cybertron Zhang's Terrakion, what he uses, and and he never did like a video for his Terrakion, so I actually have to make up my own EV spread in nature. But pretty much he has the exact same item, Lumberry. I mean, Lumberry Terrakion is pretty much a standard item to have on a Terrakion, I guess, because a lot of people like to either toxic it or burn it, so Lumberry does come in handy. And also your opponent may like put you to sleep because of the spore from the Breloom, or maybe sometimes a Dark Void from like the Smeargle, and so Lumberry does come in handy. And same thing for the moves, the exact same moves you would see on Aaron Cybertron Zhang's Terrakion: Protect, Double Kick, Close Combat, and Rock Slide. Double Kick because if you do come across some Bisharps with Focus Sash like mine, you can also just Double Kick and pretty much just one-shot Bisharps. And Close Combat, obviously it's like same thing for Double Kick. Well, it is, but it isn't. It's pretty much stab, and it hits harder than Double Kick. So Close Combat is pretty much just a more powerhouse move basically to have on Terrakion, and Rock Slide also because it hit both of my opponents, and also it is coverage because I believe Terrakion is part rock. And you can also get a flinch as well. Now, like I was saying, for its EV spread in nature, Aaron Cybertron Zing never really used a, or never did a video for Terrakion, so I kind of had to go on a whim of what he was actually using. So I actually decided to go with like a standard EV spread for Terrakion with max attack, max speed, and Jolly Nature, and 4 in special defense, just because I don't know if like normal Terrakions use like a Jolly Nature, or they just use an Adamant Nature, because most of the time if you have a Terrakion on your team, you have a Suicune on your team, and if you have a Suicune on your team, you're just going to Tailwind, and with Tailwind up, you're pretty much just going to be outspeeding majority of your opponent's team anyways with Terrakion. So it's like, it just pretty much depends. So I actually went with the Jolly Nature rather than like the Adamant, just so then I know if my opponent does actually use like the Adamant Nature variant for Terrakion, I know I can outspeed and I can pretty much just knock them out with a close combat or double kick depending on how low their health is. So like I said, it pretty much just varies on what kind of EV spread you're going to be running, or like what nature you're running, because like I believe most of the time you're just going to be running like an Adamant Nature. So with that, there is Terrakion. So let's move on to the last Pokemon, which I was finally wanting to get to, which is Suicune. Now, like I said, for Sylveon and Bisharp, exact same set for the Suicune. I didn't change anything. I did not change anything. I just copied and pasted and exported and then imported, or whatever you want to call it. It says it like right here. That's all I did, and now I have Suicune on the team. Now, when I was actually making this team, I really wanted to use, I needed a water type basically, and I was like, what if I use Quagsire? No one ever used a Quagsire. I was like, you know what? No. Let's actually go with Suicune again. Now, Suicune is a very, very good bulky water type Pokemon to have, so I kind of had to go with it because I needed a bulky Pokemon as well, and Suicune pretty much just fits the bill. Same item, same moves, same EV spread, and same nature. Same thing as you saw in my Mega Lopunny video if you actually saw it. So there's nothing really much else I can actually go over for Suicune other than like I needed a water type move, and I also wanted to take advantage of Tailwind as well, just because I love Tailwind Suicune. Now, depending on like if I do need an Adamant Nature or Jolly Nature for Terrakion, I'll actually just change it just because I am running Tailwind. But most of the time your opponent would just probably want to take care of the Suicune just so they don't have to like worry about Tailwind, or they'll just pretty much just taunt you. But most of the time they'll just go after Suicune just to get rid of your Tailwind user. But now that I'm actually at Suicune, I can actually go over like the combos I actually go with. Now, sometimes, like, depending on my opponent's team, I like to lead out with my Charizard and Suicune. Now, there's a reason why I actually do that. Now, depending on what my opponent leads out or what they actually have in the back and stuff, it would depend on if I Mega Evolve or not. Because usually, most of the time, I would just, like, either protect with Charizard without Mega Evolving and then actually get up the Tailwind. Because since Charizard, when it Mega Evolves, doesn't get a speed increase, it's actually going to stay the same. So, with the Tailwind up, you're pretty much going to be outspeeding majority of your opponent's team. So, I like to just sweep with Charizard right there and then, or just do as much damage as I can to my opponent with Charizard. So that's what I really like to do with Suicune and as a Charizard lead. And like I said, it just pretty much depends on what my opponent has, if it Mega Evolves or not. Because the one thing that Drought does, it pretty much weakens water type moves and ice type moves. And hint hint, the two moves I am running for like damage moves is Scald and Ice Beam. So like I said, it pretty much just depends on what my opponent has, if I'm going to Mega Evolve or not, just so that my two moves don't get weakened because of the sun. And also sometimes, like always, since this is partly a sun team, I always like to lead out with my Venusaur and Charizard. I mean, obviously, I don't have to go over why, because Chlorophyll, Venusaur, Mega Evolve, Charizard to Charizard-Y. Pretty self-explanatory. And also, I also like to lead out sometimes with like Charizard Sylveon, because sometimes they don't really expect it, because they always expect like maybe Charizard Venusaur, or maybe sometimes I guess like Charizard Suicune. But they always try to like lead out with Pokemon that's going to be able to take out either Charizard and or Suicune. And sometimes I actually have Sylveon out, and depending on what my opponent has, I'll just most likely Hyper Voice. So those are pretty much most of the combos I actually like to do with this team. Oh, and I also forgot one more combo, same combo as I did for a Mega Lopunny video. I usually like to sometimes lead out with my Suicune and Bisharp, protect with my Bisharp, get the Tailwind up, and then Bisharp can pretty much just outspeed majority of my opponent's team, and I can just either just Sucker Punch depending on how low my health is, or I can just knock off, and for days and pretty much knock off every item my opponent has, or I can just Iron Head and pretty much just hopefully get the flinch hacks pretty much majority of the time, or just like take care of Tyranitar, because I actually came across a Tyranitar with Bisharp, and Iron Head did not kill it even if it had a Life Orb, because I actually had Life Orb at the time, and I actually switched it to Focus Sash because well, let me rephrase that, I don't know what I was saying. But I actually came across a Tyranitar with Bisharp with the Life Orb while I had it on the Life Orb on Bisharp, because I believe I had like Black Sludge on Venusaur at the time, and I used Iron Head with the Life Orb on a Tyranitar and did not one-shot it out, and I was actually surprised because I thought it was just going to one-shot, so it was like, okay, let me just switch the item to Focus Sash and put the Life Orb on Venusaur, just because I like those items as well on those two Pokemon. So those are just combos I really like to have on the like to use with this team. So with that, there is the team. So like I said, I just really wanted to use a Charizard, and Charizard-Y was pretty much like the best option, considering that I really never used a Charizard-Y, and I wanted to use partially a like chlorophyll team. So Venusaur was the only chlorophyll Pokemon I had. So with that, I'm actually going to stop talking, so you guys can go and watch a video or a battle that I actually had with this exact team. And if I do say so myself, that battle was just amazing. I actually was surprised on how good that battle was that I had with this team. So with that, enjoy the battle. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this team review video, don't forget to hit that like button, and also don't forget to comment and subscribe. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I was just super excited to make a Charizard-Y team, or just a Charizard in general, and now that I actually made the team, I'm going to be using this for a couple of my Pokemon Showdown live series later in the future, because I really do enjoy this team. Now, if for those of you wondering, yes, I did forget that I had a -1 on Venusaur's speed from the Icy Wind coming from the Gastrodon. Now, if I wouldn't have that speed drop, I most likely would have outsped the Mega Metagross and put it to sleep, because that's what I was actually aiming for, so then I wouldn't have lost my Venusaur from the Zen Headbutt coming from the Mega Metagross. So that was pretty much my fault there for forgetting, but nonetheless, it was a very, very great match, and I really wanted to share it with you guys, because this battle was a very, very, very good battle. So, like I said, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, and also don't forget to comment and subscribe. So this is White Boy for the win, and I'll catch you guys Later.